US President Donald Trump has issued fresh warnings to his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin. Trump said that he would put high-level tariffs and sanctions on anything being sold by Russia to the United States and various other participating countries if Russia does not settle now and stops the war with Ukraine, which he called ridiculous. The US president said that he was not looking to hurt Russia, citing his love for the Russian people and his long-standing relations with Vladimir Putin, but he called his insistence to end the war a favor to the country whose economy he claimed was failing. Prior to beginning his second term, Trump had vowed to end the war within 24 hours. There were expectations that he would leverage aid to force Kyiv to make territorial concessions to Moscow. But his promised breakthrough has proved elusive. Now, despite his warnings, Russia continues its offensive in Ukraine. In the latest, Russia said that it had taken control of a village in Ukraine's northeastern Kharkiv region. And this westward push is piling additional pressure on Ukrainian forces across the front line. The Russian Defense Ministry said its forces have taken the village of Zapadne on the western bank of the Oskil River. And this holds significance as this particular village for months now had formed a natural front line between the two armies. The capture illustrates the mounting problems facing Ukrainian soldiers almost 3 years since Russia's invasion. Donald Trump claims that he was told by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky that he wants a deal. The Ukrainian president has said that Russia should return to the border of 2022 to create fair conditions on negotiations. And in addition to its existing tensions with the US, Russia is now confronting the wrath of the UK. The UK has said that it would strengthen its response to secret operation by Russian ships and aircraft in an effort to protect undersea cable. And this after Defense Secretary John Healey said a Russian spy vessel used for intelligence and mapping critical infrastructure on the seafloor entered British waters on Monday, and the Royal Navy tracked it for 2 days until it entered Dutch waters. Greg Swenson from London now joins us live on the broadcast. He's the chairman of Republicans Overseas UK. Welcome to the show, Greg. Now, in the spirit of tariff imposition policies that Donald Trump aims to adopt and leaders around the world are fearing, and the fact that Trump said that he would end the war in Ukraine, Donald Trump has now said that he would put high-level tariffs and sanctions on anything being sold by Russia to the United States and various other participating countries. However, Russia still continues its offensive, and Trump also said that Zelensky wants a deal with Russia. How do you read this current situation?
I think it's rather welcome that President Trump is making these kind of statements, and it's not a great surprise. If you look at the way President Trump handled Russia and Ukraine during his first term, it was much more aggressive than the Obama-Biden administration prior to his taking office in 2017. So this shouldn't come as a big surprise. He's always felt like, Russia should not be feared. They should be marginalized. You saw that in early 17 when he started shipping lethal weapons in the form specifically of Javelin missiles to Ukraine. And this is after Obama and Biden had been shipping only non-lethal material and sending it to an airbase, a U.S. airbase in Poland, and then having it trucked to Kyiv. They were very afraid of offending Vladimir Putin. And then, of course, you had more recently, as in December, when the inner circle, when President Trump's inner circle, prior to him taking office, was communicating with their European counterparts and basically saying that there will be no conditions required on continuing to support Ukraine with American commitment or American aid. So this shouldn't come as a great surprise. I thought it was refreshing, his statement yesterday that he made, and I think it's a good sign that he expects the Russians to cooperate here, and if not, there will be sanctions. The use of sanctions can be very helpful, beneficial to the West for tactical and strategic reasons. So I thought it was refreshing to see the comment yesterday, and again, it's consistent with both his first term policies as well as his communications to NATO and our European allies as recently as December.
Greg, do you actually see Donald Trump imposing these sanctions? Because on the one hand, he does talk about his long-standing relationship with Vladimir Putin. Also, when Vladimir Zelensky says that the borders should return to the borders of 2022 to create fair conditions for negotiations, doesn't it beg the question, why the war in the first place? So do you actually see a deal coming through easily in this case?
I'm not sure about easily, but I do see a deal coming through. Zelensky has been much more cooperative, at least in conversation, with President Trump and the Americans. So he has shown a willingness to negotiate, and of course he's going to, to suggest that the 2022 borders, that's just an opening round of negotiating. It's the Russians that haven't really cooperated, and I think you'll definitely see the imposition of these tariffs. President Trump has done this before. He threatened tariffs on Mexico, and they cooperated right away with the Remain in Mexico policy in his first term. And then, of course, he imposed sanctions on Russia itself. He put sanctions on Nord Stream 2 in 2017. Of course, President Biden took off the sanctions on Nord Stream when he took office before changing his mind again and reimposing those. So there's been some confusion from the Biden administration, very much an incrementalist approach to Ukraine, whereas President Trump was very direct in his first term. He's being very direct again. He will impose these sanctions. They work, or at least when Trump does it, and they worked against Iran. And you've seen the absolute weakness of Iran during President Trump's first term, and only more recently, thanks to the Israelis, has Iran been weakened. But that has implications for Russia, too. Russia's seeing their allies retreating from the Middle East in the sense that Iran has been really marginalized by Israel. You've seen the changes in Syria. They no longer have the port in Tartus on the Mediterranean. So you've seen a real retreat by the Russians everywhere except Ukraine. And I expect that these sanctions will work, and President Trump is quite serious about it.
Greg Swenson, thank you for your analysis and, as always, for your time as well to join us on the show.
Thanks, Isha.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.